Good afternoon. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. We're live at Chalgrove Airfield for the launch of our new Martin Baker watch. And we're here with Andrew Martin. So welcome. Thank you for inviting us down here.
Thank you so much, Charles. It's great to see you. Welcome to Chalgrove. Chalgrove Airfield is where Martin Baker carries out all our ejection seat qualification and testing activities. It's been operated by the company since 1945. And we have a variety of different test equipment here, one of which is behind us, the Gloucester Meteor, one of only 3, I think, in the world still flying, and it's a fantastic ejection seat test vehicle which we're using, monthly.
And this is still being used for live ejections.
Still being used for live ejections, and in fact, if you remember, I think it was 2010, 11 that we did our very first ejection test.
I was on the airfield here at the time.
Yeah, with the MB1, the original MB1, which I think we might look at later.
Yeah.
So we're still using it, and I think we did another ejection test out of it, I think a month or 2 ago.
And this is an ejection seat from one of the Meteors as well, isn't it?
Yep. So this is our Mark 10 ejection seat, sort of a 1970s, 80s design, but this is the seat that Andy Gent, our test pilot, sits on in the Meteor when he's carrying out the flight activities.
Great. So, I mean, probably not everyone out there, all of our sort of audience, really knows much about the history of Martin Baker, but you're a wonderful business. 70% of sort of Western world's ejection seats, British company. Chalgrove, we're about 35, 40 minutes from Henley, but Denham is your obviously other main location, just on the outskirts of London. But yeah, give us a bit of history. Talk about your grandfather and.
So the company has been around since 1929. Originally, it was doing the founder's focuses were on solving engineering problems. He invented a number of different bits of equipment, and then in the 30s, teamed up with Captain Valentine Baker. Hence, the company is still called Martin Baker, and they focused their efforts on designing and developing aircraft. And that's where Martin Baker Aircraft came from. And a number of aircraft came out of the company at that time, an MB1, MB2, MB3 and MB5. And by all accounts, there were some phenomenal aircraft, some really unique features to those aircraft. But sadly, during the evolution of airplanes during the war, they just didn't get their production contract. And sadly, tragically, Captain Baker lost his life testing the MB3. And we like to think that, sadly, the loss of his best friend focused the founder's attention on aircrew escape. At that time, aircraft were getting faster and faster, and it was proving almost impossible for pilots to get out into the airstream. And that's where the Mark 1 ejection seat came from. And it was at this very airfield in 1945 that Benny Lynch, who has been, I think, a star of some of your...
He has been a star of some of our marketing, but he was the first man to be live ejected.
He was a fitter in the factory at Denham and volunteered to do the live ejections. I think he did 7 or 8. I think he drunk for free for the rest of his life. But he was very brave, and like so many of the pioneers at that time, really pushed technology forward. And right above, in the skies above this airfield in 45, he did the first live ejection. Back then, he pulled a handle, the seat was fired out.
Like being on the end of a shotgun?
Kind of. I don't like to address it that way.
Yeah.
But he pulled the handle and the seat was fired out. And in his own time, he had to manually separate himself from the seat, push the seat away, and then open his parachute.
Oh,
and that whole process needed 3,500, 4,000 feet and took about 25, 30 seconds. And really, since then until now, with our latest Mark 18 seat, where we do that whole sequence in basically a second. We spent 70 years getting from 30 seconds to 1 second. So time and the mechanical movement and the nature of the ejection seat was really, I think, one of the reasons that we wanted to look for a partnership in watches, and hence you came into my life.
Well, we came into life.
2004 and 5.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, wasn't it? Yeah, about 2004, 5. And we didn't launch the Martin Baker watch until 2009. I think we actually came out. It was about then.
We celebrated 10 years a few years ago.
Yeah, and it was an amazing experience. And seeing an ejector seat come out of here with the watch on, I was flabbergasted about how quickly everything happens. But also going down to Denham, it was always just so interesting to see that actually the ejection was just only a tiny bit of the testing. I mean, everything that we ended up
Vibration.
putting the test through is just immense. Yeah, tell us a bit more about that.
Well, I think if you recall, when we came up with the genesis of the MB partnership, the first watch we sort of looked at, we sort of took one of the existing watches at the time, and I think we collectively were underwhelmed and wanted to challenge you.
We have
why don't
some
we look at that?
of the original Martin Baker watches here. So, yeah, I think you're best to talk us through that one.
So this is based on an alt.
Yeah, the
alt
old 1P. So that was our original. We thought let's see what that.
So I think, remember at this stage we were talking about what features we wanted from Martin Baker that would show and flow throughout the watch. And as we were doing our original walk around and looking for ideas of colours and effects and finishes and things like that, we were playing around with, well, what would the watch dial look like? And I remember very early on, and I think you can see it. We put a red triangle just underneath the Bremont logo, and we played around with, because of the ejection handle, which is black and yellow, we wanted to make sure the black and yellow featured on the watch. So I remember this as being our first attempt, and I think you painted the black and yellow on.
This I mean, for Nick and I, we said, look, you wanted a watch to test, and we needed something that we felt actually chronograph, pilot's watch. That's what would really work very well. And as a test watch, we put some clear measurements. So when we were doing the video testing, you could see the hands moving and not. So it's very clear. But ultimately, this was only going to be a test watch, and it basically got trashed, didn't it?
I think we trashed quite a few. In fact, there's another one. This was the first design you came up with after we played around with look and feel was this.
Yeah. So we still hadn't got the design clues, but this was about testing. What falls apart and things like. Interesting. Rather than the ejection test, the vibration tests were causing so much issues, weren't they, to the watches? That was it 30 years of life?
We basically simulate 30 years of operation. So the seat will be subjected to 30 years worth of vibration when it's being certified. And we did the same thing for the Savanna. And I think we've got some footage of the watch being shaken quite aggressively. So I remember we had a problem with the attachment points of the movement. Was that it?
Yeah, there were a number of reasons, but yes, that and the crash test, you'd find that any of the, when you're attaching your movement to the case of the watch, you have these tiny movement mounts, and those screws were just shearing off. And those vibrations were just really causing a lot of damage to the movement. So that's when we took from this design on, and we looked at, well, how do we redesign the case and put the vibration mount technology into it? Obviously, the Faraday cage was key on those early watches.
And then is the first.
Yes, talk us through this one.
So actually, no, it's the next one, actually.
Yeah.
So if you recall, what I wanted to come up with was, and I remember I was in Pakistan at the time, we were thinking that for an ejectee nowadays in the 21st century, it was great that they get a certificate and a tie, but we were thinking that maybe we could upgrade the membership requirements. And so we came up with the watch, and this was the first MB1.
Yeah.
And this literally is the first one that has gone through, I think I put it through 18 ejections so far, from 0-0 up to altitude ejection, up to 640 miles an hour. And look, I've just shaken it right now, and it's ticking again. It's never been serviced, and it's keeping fantastic time, which is remarkable.
It is remarkable.
I'm trying my best to break it.
Well, you certainly have put it through. And so that's when we came up, when we redesigned the case, and we came up with the knurled effect. And
yeah, I mean, I don't know whether people can see on the seats, but on some of the handles and some of the other things, the kneeling effect. I think you were the one that taught me the word kneeling. But this sort of textured metal we came up with it from the handles of the ejection seats. and it's great to see. And I think there are so many features, and even now with the launches of the Savanna, we're still finding features within the product range and equipment within an ejection seat that we can use as source material for creating new features of the watches.
Yeah, and it's brilliant. As a designer, you're going to, whether it's our limited editions, but obviously with Martin Baker, you know, our oldest partnership, it's sitting down with the organisation, going through their design ethos and understanding what little tweaks we can do. And we're at a point where we want to talk about the new watch, the Bremont MB Savanna. We have a little video we'll show you. So I hope you enjoyed that video of the new MB Savanna, and we have them here. We have two of the test Savannas, haven't they? They've all been through various testings over
We're
the
not yet complete. We've still got more damage to try and subject them to.
And it's always challenging.
Also, I like to hang on to the test watches. You like to try and take them back. I like to try and hang on to them.
So Andrew's now got this most amazing sort of collection of previous very, very limited edition Martin Baker watches. But the Savanna, we're really excited to be able to do this. It's the first titanium Martin Baker watch we've built. But we've come up with this new treatment, which has this sort of slight sandblast grey-green effect to it over the titanium. Titanium cases are all built at the Bremont Manufacturing Technology Centre, the wing, which is just down the road from here, where we're using actually very similar machines, aren't we?
We're walking around, we've got the same CNC machines,
I know,
same Morosiki machines.
So we could make some of your bits and you can make some of ours.
Maybe.
And still with the internal rotor click bezel, obviously the vibration mount, but we're open case back on this with a new rotor, skeletonized rotor. I mean, although it's interesting, I was talking to someone the other day, the Martin Baker, the case looks very similar from the original case, but we've gone through a large number of iterations throughout the history of this as we're changing the way we design the case, and partly it's due to new manufacturing processes, but it's come to this titanium case where I think it's for pilots that often that lightweight ability of titanium, I think, really adds something to it. And you came up with the name Savanna.
I did.
Yeah.
I think when we, like I was saying earlier, when we were looking for sort of inspiration and ideas, if you look at a parachute in the Martin Baker seat, the parachute's made up of a number of different colors, desert or savanna, jungle, which has some links also to Savanna, the orange and the white, and those are for camouflage reasons, for alert, for if lost and found. If you're sitting there on the snow, you can make an orange line with the parachute. So we found that color, and I think that was the start of it. Yeah, I think the lightweightness. I mean, as you know, the MB has been a good seller in the military market. I've no doubt that when people see this version of it, I think there'll be squadrons coming back for a second version, because they'll like the really lightweightness of it.
I think that is, and I think this one is on a rubber strap. Obviously, we can have it on the NATO straps, all the rest of the or leather straps that Bremont create, but it really is, the Martin Baker has become almost a de facto military watch out there, hasn't it?
No, it's been really wonderful at some of the shows that we now co-exhibit at together. Tailhook's coming up in Reno, and then WebTac in Las Vegas in January, to be alongside you when we're doing our job, which is to market and sell ejection seats, and to see you guys beside with the air crew getting as excited about the watches and seeing the link and the synergy, it's phenomenal to see that. And I've no doubt it will continue here with the Savanna.
Yes, and I think the challenge we had with this and in creating it is any new treatment we're ever building on a watch, and it's exactly the same with you, with your seats, is you have to go through that testing again. Is it going to rub off very easily? Titanium, it's a different process of the way we machine it to a normal case. But we wanted the titanium effect that with the hardening treatment we're putting on with the Savanna treatment, it has to look good, but it has to work, doesn't it?
I mean, it's remarkable. This watch has been through this particular Savanna has been through a number of ejection tests. It was subjected to some very, very short but intense hot temperature because of a canopy jettison motor. And it was I think it was in the video, the salt fog degradation test, when it sat in a very corrosive environment for 40, I think it was 48 hours. And if you look at the material and the surface, it looks brand new.
Yes, it's amazing.
It's remarkable how intact it is after being subjected to some pretty serious.
And you could tell by the strap the actual testing has been through, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit manky.
A little bit manky, but and one of the tests you did with 2 watches on, didn't you?
We did. We put a watch in the line of fire, so to speak, of a canopy jettison motor, just to subject it to a very intense rocket motor flume, and then another watch we put on the same ejection. So and I think we've got I think in the video there was a great video of the watch on the wrist of the mannequin.
Yeah, and you know, getting access to that content is an amazing thing for us, and I have to thank you all and everyone at Martin Baker for providing that, because I know you have to set up the cameras and do all those extra bits.
The guys do a fantastic job in support of this and trying to sort of fit in this work at the same time as them doing their important testing is fantastic. They're willing to do it. I don't have to give away too many watches.
Yes, and you keep a few yourself, obviously, on the back of it. Not enough. And yeah, the watch you're wearing today is slightly unusual. You've just done this to annoy me, haven't you?
I do. I love irritating you with it. It took, I think it took 2 years to persuade you to create it, to celebrate the monumental milestone of 10 years of selling thousands of watches together, and we created this unique MB2 in a sort of nice material.
Yeah, so Andrew basically strong-armed us to create a gold MB, one of one. And yeah, it's not the normal material
you're never happy when I wear it.
No,
you like rose gold. Why do you just like rose gold? Why is that? What's wrong with
it's
beautiful
the big
yellow gold?
as well? This is sort of it's lovely seeing the development of the partnership together. It's been going a long time and still full of ideas. And I think as new materials we test come out, it's lovely to create and develop and take that watch further on, but still not lose the DNA of what it's all about.
I think there was one moment, and I think if I can look back over the whole 15 years of our friendship, I found myself on an airplane flight flying from Washington to California somewhere, and I sat next to this guy, and I noticed that he was wearing a Bremont MB, and I said, "Tell me about the watch." And he spoke so enthusiastically about this watch and talked to me about all the testing that it had gone through and how much he loved it, and it was a gift from his father. And I didn't tell him who I was, but it was one of the nicest moments of this whole experience to see that this partnership is creating some fantastic mechanical timepieces being enjoyed by people all over the world.
No, well, really appreciate it. And I think we've created something together that I think is totally different, not only the whole watch collection, but obviously with the latest Savanna. And I really recommend, you know, as with all Bremont watches, picking them up, holding it, go to your local retailer, come and visit us at the wing, but we'd love to show you more. And but yeah, really thank you everyone for joining in and tuning in to watch us. Thank you, Andrew Martin, for
always a pleasure
hosting
to see you,
us
Charles. Take care.
at Charles Grove today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
But yeah, see you all soon.